We'll call this meeting to order. Now we'll start with the pledge.
Awesome.
Let the record reflect that we're all here but Mr. Vanderzeel. And I just got a text from him. He said he's held up at 10 miles an hour on Alden Nash. I don't know if there's an accident someplace or what, but he will be here.
Slide off. There's people sliding off.
I'd ask for approval of the agenda next at this time.
I move that we accept the agenda as presented.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and supported that we approve the agenda as presented. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Next, we have approval of our minutes of the regular board meeting of December 15, 2025.
I'll move we accept the minutes as presented.
I'll support.
December 15, 2025.
I'll support. It's been moved and supported that we accept the minutes of the regular meeting of December 15 of 2025. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Next, we have the treasurer's report for December of 2025.
We're just finishing up winter taxes. Everything is going well, and we should be done in the middle of February.
I'll move that we accept the treasurer's report as presented.
I'll support. It's been moved and supported that we approve the treasurer's report as presented. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Next on our agenda, we have accounts payable, checks, and payroll.
Are there any questions on that?
I'll move we authorize payment of all of the accounts payable and payroll as presented.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and supported that we pay the accounts payable, checks and payroll. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. We have a report from our zoning administrator. Next. Any comments or questions? Okay. We'll move on then. Next, we have public comment. And let me remind people that you have 3 minutes to speak. And if you'd want to line up at the 2 microphones on each side to present your comments. And you have to speak really close, as they keep reminding me, to the microphone.
All right, thank you for increasing the venue size so we all can be heard.
You gotta have it right up here.
Right like this.
Thank you for increasing the venue size so that we all can be heard. I think that's very important. I would like to address the Planning Commission's open seats. I heard are no longer open, they were just reappointed. Were any of the applications looked at and considered prior to the decision being made? No? Answer? Okay. Next on the agenda for me is I am a non-resident of the Lowell Township, but of the city of Lowell. Apparently, I can't apply for the position, which I did. I would like to know why. I think it is benefit to the Planning Commission to have people from surrounding areas on the board as well. We have a different perspective. We might give a different, just a different view, which would give people maybe a more educated decision. I heard there was, you were looking for people with prior experience. What prior experience before each person on that board was appointed? What prior experience did they have? My experience is not with the local government, but I have a lot of experience. I'm a small business owner. I do a lot with the Lowell Area Chamber of Commerce. I have volunteered in the community. Are those not good prerequisites to be a member on the Planning Commission? I think they are. I think they show involvement. Any comments, any words, nothing? I agree. So my next thing is, I know who can get you all a sign. If you want a sign for your window or your yard, let me know, I can hook you up.
Hi, thanks for opening this up for everybody. We moved here, I don't know what's going on, 10 years ago. We love it in Lowell. We love it. I do want to talk about the data center. I know it's a huge hot topic. We live across the street from the proposed site, right? So ideally, for us, nothing would be there, right? It'd be farmland and it'd be great and it would be there until we're pushing up daisies, right? But that's not probably the reality of it, right? Because what's Lowell, the next place to be? Isn't that what the logo is, right? And we really are the next place to be, because after 28th Street, it's there, it's all the Nash. There's 36th Street, but there's the airport. So either way, something's going to be there, whether we like it or not. So I went on Microsoft's website to see what they did. There's a site, it's their blog. It says building community, first AI infrastructure. And it talks about all the things that they do for the community, with the community, all of these things, right? I mean, like I said, this is not my first choice to have this. However, right? Because there's all of these complaints. What about the noise? What about the lights? What about the traffic? What about the electricity? What about the water? So the electricity, if you read that blog, it talks about how they plan on paying whatever the highest rate is, we're paying that. Our electricity bill is really high, and that's fine. I mean, we use a lot of power. But the fact that they're going to do that, okay, great, right? So they're paying their taxes, all of that other kind of stuff. They talk about the water. When you go on that blog, and like I said, it's blogs.microsoft.com, and it's called Building Community, First AI Infrastructure. So I'm not pulling this out of my hat or whatever. For communities where water infrastructure constraints pose challenges, we will collaborate with local utilities to understand whether current systems can support the additional demand associated with data center growth. If sufficient capacity does not exist, we work with our engineering teams to identify solutions that avoid burdening the community. Where future system improvements are required, Microsoft funds those upgrades in full, ensuring the community doesn't have to shoulder the cost of supporting our operations. It talks about Leesburg, Virginia. Microsoft is funding more than $25 million of water and sewer improvements to ensure the cost of servicing our facilities does not fall on the local tax or ratepayers. Talk about the noise. So we did our due diligence. I know it's not necessarily Microsoft, but we went over to the pyramid, right? The steel case pyramid. We went there on a Sunday afternoon. It appeared that the generator was running because the exhaust was coming out of the stack. And you couldn't hear that running.
Ma'am,
I'm sorry.
your 3 minutes is up.
Oh, I'm sorry. There's so much more I wanted to say. But anyway, can I get back in line? I'm getting her time.
Hi, I'm Jamie Thompson, a Lowell Township resident, and I'm giving her my time to speak.
Anyway,
Excuse me, Mr. Chairperson, it's the recommendation of the township attorney, you can't loan time to other people. That's the procedure, but also it should be pointed out, there will be multiple additional future meetings for public comment, including a public hearing in front of the planning commission.
can I finish, please? Anyway, so we go by the pyramid, you can hardly hear it, right? You can hardly hear it. There's M6 is in the background, and all you can hear is the highway. I'm not, like I said, in my opinion, nothing would be there. What would be there would be a farm, and that would be great. You talk about the lights, and back to the noise. There's more noise that comes over our homes from the airport. There's 300 flights that come and go out of that airport every day, and we hear probably half of them because we're in the direct flight path of them going to land. You talk about the lights, the light pollution. I don't want the lights shining in my windows, but if you look at it, when we went over to the pyramid, they had these LED lights that shine straight down. They're not like floodlights like what's in Meyer parking lot. They're like the floodlights, they're like the lights that come in when you came into the school. Those LED lights that were facing right down, that's the kind of lights they had. Then we had the traffic, right? Because people are like, what about the traffic? Well, obviously there's not going to be anybody at those places, right? There's like 6 people. And I'm fine with that because I don't really want a lot of traffic in front of my house. I don't want all of that going on. You know, I look at it like I said, ideally, this would not be what we want. But progress is going to happen whether we like it or not. So what's going to happen? This is going to move down to Clarksville or Saranac or wherever, and all of that money is going to get infused into that community. All of that money, all of that revenue, all of those things that can happen and that can help a community to grow, and there's going to be Lowell. So I guess I'm looking at it like, how many people are going to come up here and naysay about it? Everybody. I'm just saying, give it a chance because. Give it a chance. Because you know what? Somebody else is going to have it and we ain't going to have any money.
Hi, my name is Nicole Ronda. I am a Lowell Township resident.
Closer to the mic, please, so we can hear you.
Hello, my name is Nicole Ronda and I am a Lowell Township resident. As a resident of Lowell Township, yes, I am for progress and we are the next place to be. A data center is not what we want here or in this region. We have, and the township can say what they want. The city can try to say, well, they're going to provide us all of this, but I am reading directly off the Lowell, Michigan water and sewer that the treatment plant is designed to treat a maximum of 1.5 million gallons of water per day. The facility pumps approximately 254 million gallons of water per year. There are 4 groundwater wells with the capability of pumping 3.9 MGD to the facility for treatment. So this water is coming out of our local aquifers. Some of us in the township are on that same aquifer. aquifer that the city is pumping this out of. The difference is our plant is currently only set up to treat about 1 million gallons a year, yet the average hyperscale data center uses and can consume 1 to 5 million gallons of water daily. Why do we think all these data centers are targeting Michigan, Wisconsin, and the Great Lakes Basin? Because they need our water. They don't need us. They don't give a crap about us. And if we notice when these blogs and these statements have come out, it is all in response to try to placate people who will not do their due diligence. We have heard from this board over and over again. Well, we don't know yet. I don't know. We're waiting for answers. Why are we waiting? We as a public are not waiting. We are seeking out these answers, the multiple research studies, scientific papers that are already published by things like the Pew Research Center, by major universities, including our own University of Michigan. And you are telling us we don't know. Where is your due diligence? And where are you getting your education? I would love that answer.
Good evening. My name is Christine Clark. I live on Jefferson Street in Lowell, and I have a brief synopsis. On January 7th, Microsoft claimed they want to be transparent and act as a good neighbor. Today, we are here to define exactly what that looks like. While Microsoft has recently promised community-first approach, our skepticism isn't based off of fear of technology. It is based on lack of binding commitments and clarity. We are here to move from vague intentions to legal requirements that require signed community benefits agreements before any kind of proposal is allowed to go any further. Water and Utilities, on January 13th, Microsoft launched their Community First AI Infrastructure Initiative, promising to pave their way so that residents could avoid rate hikes. We must hold them accountable to this standard. In Racine, Wisconsin, Microsoft proved that they can operate on 8.4 million gallons of water a year using a closed-loop technology system. This commission should not settle for any water more than that if this proposal were to go through. The mandate we need to provide is a zero evaporation mandate to protect our local aquifer, a ban on toxic additives that would be leached into our soil, and full transparency on the water recycling process. A ratepayer firewall should also be used, where Microsoft has pledged to fund 100% of the grid upgrades. To ensure this, the board must require a large customer tariff. This creates a legal firewall that prevents consumers' energy from passing the massive infrastructure and substation costs that this 237-acre site on the monthly bills of Lowell citizens. Public health and noise pollution. Data centers are industrial machines. They require high-powered fans that run 24/7. We demand continuous decibel monitoring at the property lines with automatic fines for violations. Furthermore, we demand a total ban on gas-powered turbine engines. We have seen the alternative to this in Memphis, Tennessee, where Elon Musk's XAI project is using methane turbines to power data centers when the electrical grid does not provide. This has resulted in light pollution, where floodlights causing blinding light pollution throughout the whole day and night. Noise pollution due to constant usage of industrial fans and humming of massive amounts of electricity. Health crises, where increased respiratory illness, long-term cancer, asthma attacks have occurred. And pollution, where residents report that long-lasting taste of gas in the air that inhibits citizens from going outside. We will not allow Lowell to become a case study in industrial neglect. No tax abatement. Microsoft is a $1 trillion company. In Wisconsin, they are the largest taxpayer in Racine County. Lowell should grant a zero tax abatement Every cent of their property tax must be directed to Lowell area schools and emergency services. If Microsoft truly wants to be a good neighbor, they will put these into a 2026 promise in writing and sign them before any rezoning of the property and before any single shovel hits the dirt. Thank you.
Jim Turner, Lowell Township. Been a long time.
Jim, you need to be closer to the microphone, please.
How's that? Okay, been a long time, Jerry. Just a couple of things. Number one, I don't think I can state any better on the research that these people have done. This data center, the real problem I have with it, there's a lack of transparency. We're already behind the 8 ball on water. We've had odd even water bans for 2 out of the last 3 years. They can't keep up with that. You guys keep issuing building permits, which puts more drain on the water. All this water comes from the same place, okay? And the millions of gallons that these people are going to use to cool their equipment, you can't put raw water through that equipment. I have some knowledge of that. You have to treat it, and you have to treat it with some pretty nasty chemicals to keep reusing it. But you can't reuse it forever. When you get rid of it, who's going to take those chemicals out? Where are they going to go? Are they going to end up in our aquifer? They're going to, infect our children? We don't know. Nobody's answered that. Okay, they want to tell you they're going to do all this good for you and give you all this tax base. And, God knows, and I was on the school board for 16 years. We could use a tax base, but we got to be alive, okay, to enjoy that tax base. Now, consumers may be able to give them all the power they need right now, but that's a pretty good sized development we got going out there, or industrial development area that we voted on quite a while back. We're going to have other industries, small industries that want to come in, okay? They're going to use power too. So do you give it all to these people now, okay, to hamper development down the road? Development that might be more community friendly and appreciated by people. We have absolutely no forward looking here as to what the problems we already face and what we could get, okay, if this data center goes in. And I could claim another 9 minutes, by the way, because I've got a daughter, a son-in-law, and another granddaughter here that I can take, but I won't. I'm done. Thank you.
Hey there, Betsy Lopez Wagner, here, Lowell area resident. I'm joined by my friend and colleague in the movement, here from Residents United for a Healthy Lowell. So first and foremost, I'd like to ask you all if Microsoft is present in the room today.
You don't know? You don't
Okay, so.
You don't know? Really?
All right, so we'll go ahead and look to the audience. Is Microsoft present in the room today? If you want to be a community, are you here?
Only listening our devices.
Excellent. Okay, so now that we've established that, a couple of things I want to say before I get to my big points and come back to the community. Is first and foremost, Mr. Hale, it was not appreciated that on January 17th, through Lowell's First Look, you decided to announce to this community that Microsoft would be present on the 19th, after you very clearly articulated to several news sources that there was going to be no data center anything on the agenda on the 19th before that was canceled. So I'm going to tell you something. There is an erosion of trust. That starts with you, because failure of leadership starts at the top and it trickles down. I do believe leadership is up, down, and sideways, but there are also people on your very board of trustees who are not made aware. That's what we talk about when we say no secret deals. That's what we talk about when we say be a good steward of this community. Honesty, transparency, integrity, and ethics. I'm going to start there. Beyond that, it is incredibly important that you and people in this room know that just this week, United Nations scientists warned that the world has entered a new era of global water bankruptcy. This isn't scare tactics, this is where we're at. In the Great Lakes, we have extraordinary access to clean, fresh water. We have access to protected sources of drinking water. And at this point, any actions you all take will affect the tapestry and access of clean water, which is a human right under the United Nations. So I want to make that known here, because while you're looking at dollars and cents, we're looking at health. We're thinking about our bills at home. We're thinking about the possibility of whether we're going to be able to maintain our homes, our livelihoods, the health of our neighbors, the mental health of our community, as well as how our community will also be eroded by an AI data center. It's important that you know these things, because work and status quo, as usual, what you've been doing is not going to work. Outside of that, I do want to make note that it's really important that we think back to December 15th, when Mr. Hale, you also said that knowing what you know now, and we have it on record, knowing what you know now, you would not have signed an NDA. And so tonight I'm going to ask you to please rescind and disrupt that NDA. Outside of that, I'm also going to ask for a 12-month moratorium, and we will be meeting with individuals from your board to be able to share what that looks like. And I don't want you to just take my word alone for what I've shared tonight. I want to go to the audience and say, how many of y'all are in favor of having a data center in our community? Okay, how many of y'all say no Microsoft? Stand up right now. That's right, this is the will of the people. We will continue to be present. We are thankful for your service.
Thank you for the board for allowing me to speak. My name is Alan Almy. I live at the south side of Lowell Township. This is from a paper called The Progressive. They're based out of Wisconsin. They've been around since 1909. A couple of paragraphs from them. A new Microsoft data center in Mount Pleasant, Wisconsin will require more than 8 million gallons of water each year to operate, according to records that Microsoft did everything in its power to keep hidden from the public. Excuse me. Last month, the company argued to Wisconsin officials that documents related to its use of Lake Michigan's water for artificial intelligence data centers should be treated as trade secrets, a status that is typically used to protect intellectual property such as the Coca-Cola recipe. In Virginia, which hosts the most data centers, more data centers rather than any other state in the country, non-disclosure agreements or NDAs have become tech companies' tool of choice to cover up their water and energy usage. These data centers, which companies push local governments to sign, or NDAs rather, to sign when they open data centers, are broadly written to prohibit officials from publicly sharing any business information about the centers. And that's just one paper I wanted to read from there. In Michigan, this is published by the University of Michigan in July of 2025, Public Act 207 of 2024 grants tax exemptions for data center equipment purchases for brownfield sites which were previously developed properties that have been abandoned, underutilized, or contaminated due to past industrial and commercial activities. These tax exemptions go until 2050 or 2065, depending on whether or not they are a greenfield or brownfield site. In Grand Rapids, a data center that is already contributing to higher utility prices for residents since the construction, and this is the Switch Data Center in 2015. The city has announced its 10th consecutive year of water supply rate increases for homeowners, averaging an increase of 3.43% annually, a 49% greater increase than statewide average in the same period of time. Meanwhile, Switch has secured a 22-site, 200 megawatt tax utility exemption with Consumers Energy, with plans to expand further starting in January of 2025. Basically, my point is, or the point I'd like to make is, I'm not in favor of data centers at all, and I wish the township wouldn't have even signed the NDA. I don't feel like that's good representing the community to sign something and go behind our backs without talking to us first. Thank you. Yeah.
Hey there, I'm a data center. So first of all, second of all, I was expecting to be here. Where is the actual interpreter?
Yeah. Yes!
Why was I not notified?
Yes!
I was expecting to be the actual interpreter here, but I was not notified about any of this. Just want to put this on the record, by the way.
Where are they? Where's the interpreter? Sure, where is his
Dan
house?
Berger, Lowell Township resident. That land has been up for development for a long time. Something's finally going to happen. That's inevitable. Why a data center? What benefit does that give the people in this room? How does that help us? Obvious answer, jobs. No. The problem is, data centers are 90% equipment.
Yep.
Good paying jobs, they don't exist there. The few at the top make good money. Why not something that benefits us? Retail, manufacturing, places that we can go to work that are local. Hotels. Community centers. Bring in good companies, well-paying companies. Give the people in this community a job, a place to work. Don't bring in a data center that burns electricity, that pulls water out of my aquifer, their aquifer. I'm not hooked up to the city of Lowell, but it's still water that you're taking from my land, from their land. Do something better. Be better. Be a leader. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Rebecca Stavridis, and I am a citizen of Lowell Township. My husband and I actually just moved here last August with the intention of this being our forever home, where we want to raise our kids and see them grow in a healthy and sustainable community. A data center is not the way for that. We know the negative impacts that they have on the environment, people, cost, electricity, the resources, and it's just not a healthy place that we want to be, where we want our kids to be. We have the intention of this being our forever home. We want to start our farm here. It was extremely discouraging when we heard of the proposed data center because of these impacts that we know that they have. Where will we go once we can no longer pay our electricity bills and our water is no longer clean to drink? We want to see Lowell grow in a healthy and sustainable way, and this is not it. Having a data center built is not the way. I hope you take our concerns and comments seriously and to heart, because we are speaking from the heart. This is what we feel, this is what we know, and we do not want this here. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Caroline Hahn. A lot of you might know me from the open letter that I wrote to the City Council and the Township Board back in November. This letter, which contained up-to-date facts and figures on essentially the unsustainability of data centers, it received over 480 signatures over the course of a weekend. But my goal here tonight is not to meet your statistics with more statistics. That could be better handled by more people than myself. And it is becoming very clear that this is not just simply an issue of facts, figures, money, statistics. This is an issue of the heart and the soul. This is an issue of humanity. And I look to you all. You are all citizens of Lowell with us. Many of you have taken care of this town for years. We look to you now to continue to take care of us. I look to you and I see a group of individuals with hearts and souls who can see this for the existential crisis that it is, or at least I hope that you do see it for what it is. It is becoming increasingly clear that we cannot trust simple facts and figures, statistics and data, because in an age of information, when we have such different statistics on each side that are painting such different pictures, we have to have a different solution. Because you will say, well, actually, this is going to be so good, and we say, well, actually, this is going to be so bad. We're not listening to each other. We have to listen to each other. This is an existential crisis in its infancy. And if it is allowed to continue, if we say yes in our small corner of the world, and others say yes in their small corners of the world as well, then we have a trend towards our destruction. I know this sounds dramatic, but I firmly believe this. I have small children. I do not want to live in a future where I look into their eyes and I tell them that they are not as valuable as human beings as they should be because we have prized data, we have prized artificial intelligence above humanity. I cannot look into the eyes of my children and tell them that I did not fight for a future where they were as valuable to this community as a brief economic boom. We have the ability to come together as a community to solve this problem. We are here now. We want to help. Let us help. Thank you.
Pam, why don't you go next? These gentlemen are glad to let you go ahead.
I don't have anything eloquent to say.
Sorry, I
I'm
don't.
sorry.
I don't hear too, oh, she is going. I don't hear too good, that's why I was.
Where's the interpreter?
My name is Molly Hilton, and I live on Thompson Drive in Virginia's Township. We recently moved to Lowell. I guess I feel it's recent, about 6 years ago. We love it here. And I just want to share, these aren't solid statistics, but I was researching the technologies that are part of a data center, the closed loop cooling system, the promises to replenish watersheds, and so on. And what strikes me is that there is no vehicle for accountability or code enforcement. And I want to believe that Microsoft is a good corporate partner. I live with rose-colored glasses. I will admit that. but times change, priorities change, markets change, leadership changes, and from what I'm seeing in the Microsoft materials is that these are promises, and we would have no way to enforce those promises or to follow up those promises with accountability. And there were 5 communities in the last 7 to 10 days that have passed moratoriums on data centers. And those moratoriums were spearheaded by the planning commissions themselves, not by community organizations. And those planning commissions made that choice because there are legal issues, ramifications, and accountabilities that they need time to evaluate, research, and build into their zoning ordinances. And when we call for a moratorium, I urge you to keep that in mind, and I'm happy to supply that list. I think I have details on 21 or 23 communities that have enacted moratoriums. Doesn't mean that you'll never proceed with development. It gives you time to think through some of these longer term implications. One being that the life cycle of a data center is projected to be 15 to 20 years. So we get these taxes, wonderful, for 15 to 20 years, but what's the decommissioning of that building like? And what does our tax base look like when that is on? Okay, so, I see about 10 seconds left. Mr. Hale, we are your friends and neighbors. And I know that I'm sure everyone sitting up there feels targeted and on the spot, but I urge you to rescind your NDA.
Yes.
Yes, my name's Nathan Swift, and I had one thing that may help out, maybe a map of the aquifer, the area that it's going to suck the water out of. And number 2, I've been thinking, ever since, I think it was last week, Monday, federal government decided that they were gonna have to, supply their own electricity. Well, in my head, there's only two things that are gonna do it. That'd be, natural gas or nuclear, which I'm not against either. It's small, the new ones that they got nowadays, they're small, and they can take care of little cities. I just wondered if a map might be available and if they have any idea where they're gonna get their electricity from. Thank you.
My name's Mike Thole. I live up by Murray Lake. So as far as the township, I really don't have much to do with it. To this panel up here, how many of you have a non-disclosure contract with Microsoft or anything to do with this? Please raise your hand. So you haven't signed any contract.
Oh, wait. Oh, okay. They're not acknowledging you because we know.
How can you do that?
Up there has publicly said they have.
See, this
Raise your hand.
this is where transparency comes in.
Right.
If you guys aren't even willing to say you've got a non-disclosure contract, then how can anybody trust you in the first place? And as far as the water, do you realize there's a 6-foot pipeline that goes from Lake Michigan to Wyoming, Michigan? The Wyoming gets their water from Lake Michigan. How about bringing it from there to here instead of using our water? Or there's another thing, they use so much water, but if you also notice out there, it's winter right now. Do you realize that if you pump that, it's a heat transfer fluid that they are cooling? It's like an antifreeze.
And we want those.
And we can pump that under the ground, and they can warm their whole parking lot or whatever. The city of Grand Haven heats their sidewalks and everything else in Main Street. The city of Holland does it. The city of Lansing, their power company pumps steam underneath the roads to melt that stuff. So this can be done. I'm just saying there's options. And as far as the electricity stuff, in Lansing there used to be a place called Lansing Drop Forge. They ran great big presses and they're all heated, all the forgings were heated with electricity. The Board of Water and Light during the summertime, when they weren't going to be having enough energy, a brownout, they would call them and say, can you shut down these big presses so we have enough electricity for the area? And they would. So, my question is, are we going to make them shut down if we're going to go into a brownout? Or are they going to take precedence over us? So, there's just a couple of questions I've got. I got a lot more from Microsoft, but since they're not here, I guess I can't answer them.
Hi, my name is Christine. I kind of wanted, one thing I want to say, another person commented earlier about the Switch data center. I believe that is a data center, and I'm under the understanding that this will be an AI data center that Microsoft is proposing, or that is on the table, or whatever. There's a vast difference between those two, and AI data centers do have a loud humming noise 24 hours, 24/7. Can be heard for miles. The pollution is much worse. Everything is much worse. I guess if you were gonna seriously consider this, to really do your research on that. But what I came up here to say is that my husband and I, in October, signed with a builder. We're building a house in the area, not very far from the high school, just down the road here. Month later, we found out that this was a possibility, that Lowell was looking into this. We were devastated. If we had it to do over again, we would not have signed that papers. We would not be building in this area because of the possibility of an AI data center. And we're not, we're here, so we're not even close to the highway, but it affects the whole area. It's not just the area right next door. And we raised our kids in the Ada Forest Hills area, not too far from here. We came to Lowell all the time. We use a library. We went to the movie theater, the Wittenbach Center. I was a Girl Scout leader for 10 years. We took our troop there all the time. Our son did his Eagle Scout project at the Wittenbach Center. I actually worked at the Alto Library, and I subbed at the Lowell Englehart Library. I love this area, and we wanted to build in this area. And it pains me that if we move here and that AI data center is here, our kids are in college and a little beyond right now. If they have kids one day and we are still here, I do not want those grandkids coming around here, breathing this air, eating downtown, the water that the food is prepared with. I don't want that. This is just not good for the community, and I'm just sickened that we have to build this house here now, at least for right now. But then if we want to move later, when it's done, who's going to buy it? People are not moving to town with the AI data center. Word is getting out more and more. People in Michigan are being very, very aware of this. Nobody wants to move to a town like that, so we're not going to be able to sell our house or not get much money out of our house. It's not good for the downtown. It's not good for the businesses. I understand the taxes would increase, be a good income, but it is not worth it to me. It's just not worth it.
Before I get started on my 3 minutes, I have an agenda question for number 8, the 2025 year in review. I don't know what happened to comments on agenda items, but I do have a comment on that. I'm wondering, I see special land uses that 4 were issued. I was just wondering if you could tell me what 4 were issued to whom? Is anybody going to speak, or are we just going to sit there silent?
faces.
They're gonna sit there silent because they don't want to say anything.
You're gonna have to get a hold of Mark. You can call the office and Mark Larabelle can answer those. We can't recall that right now, so you can definitely get that information.
Thank
Okay.
The next thing I want to, just so that everybody here is aware of the fact, Jerry, the man sitting to your right, can you introduce him?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Cliff Bloom, the Township Attorney.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Jerry, during the last board meeting, you advised the reason why you signed the non-disclosure agreement was because you thought you would get more answers. Who reviewed the NDA prior to your signature? Did the board members? Did the township attorney? Do you know if the city's attorney reviewed it? What are the time restraints and scope limitations of the NDA? Does the NDA include Michigan as to the jurisdiction? What is the actual date that you first began negotiations with Franklin Partners? Jerry, as the township supervisor, you sit in capacity as the chief official of Lowell Township, and the day you signed the NDA with Microsoft, you breached your fiduciary responsibility. Who voted in favor of the NDA, and especially Mr. Vanderzeel and Mr. Thompson, who are privy to sit in secret meetings along with you, you have breached your fiduciary responsibility. At the last board meeting, you advised that Microsoft did not provide you with the answers that you were promised when you signed the NDA. It's been 1 year since you signed the NDA. It's time for you and the board members to make some important decisions on how to proceed forward. Because now, some of you have agreed with a fiduciary responsibility with Microsoft, and you know what? That violates your elected officer duties, because you cannot keep secrets from your constituents. All 3 of you have now created a conflict of interest, and especially in representing the better interest of the townspeople. Are you going to revoke the NDA or file an injunction and hold a moratorium so you can draft ordinances to protect our community? At a minimum, all three of you should recuse yourself regarding anything to do with Franklin Partners, Microsoft, or the ordinance amendments. If you do nothing else, the three of you owe that to this community. Regarding the proposed amendments, Tom Hendricks, the attorney for Franklin Partners, drafted the proposed amendments, which in my opinion are extremely negligent in promoting the public's health, safety, and welfare. Who outside of Williams & Works have reviewed the proposed amendments? Does Williams & Works work for the township, or do they work for the applicant? Did the township attorney review the proposed amendments? Why have you not called a moratorium so as to draft amendments to protect the community? You know, perhaps the most profound statement made during the last board meeting came from that brave 9-year-old little boy. And he stood beside his mother wanting to know why we even needed AI. That child had the wherewithal to ask such a clever question, not even realizing the ramifications of what artificial intelligence will do to future generations. I do not want Microsoft Data Center destroying our community, and I do not want artificial intelligence debilitating my children and my grandchildren. And regarding the live streaming of the township meetings and the ADA compliance, Mr. Thompson and Mr. Blau, I am sure you will remember about 20 years ago when I for 3 years recorded every board meeting and every planning commission meeting, and I brought it up to this high school and they broadcasted it on the local channels. Please accommodate your handicap and your other people that cannot make it to these meetings. You have the ability to do so. I'm befuddled nobody's done something since I stopped. I'm befuddled. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Mike DeBoer. I am a recent resident of Lowell within the past year. I have a particular interest in the water usage. For the last 3 years, I've worked for a water well drilling contractor in the area. And I have seen over and over again what happens when new developments are put in and the people around them that are on shallower wells run out of water. Well, the issue is you're screwed in that situation because it's very difficult to prove why you're running out of water and why the aquifer is draining. In that circumstance, you are now responsible to drill your own well and be out $10,000, $15,000 to drill a new well. I am quite concerned for the people that live around there, and if the data center puts in a series of large wells, but that's going to do the aquifers around, they go on Lowell city water, we're going to have to drill more wells. We're not currently set up to handle that. Who's going to pay for that? I mean, I doubt the data center is going to pay for that. We're probably going to end up footing the bill for that. I've also worked in a series of environmental issues all across the state, and I've seen what happens when large corporations accidentally introduce contamination to the groundwater. I can think particularly of Wolverine and Rockford and the PFAS issues that they had. There's a lot of people now that are on city water. Well, that's all great. They paid for it at the beginning. Now you're footing the bill for paying for city water every 3 months. That's not really fair either. It's incredibly hard to prove who's responsible for these things, and you know, Microsoft has a lot of money behind them and a lot of attorneys. They're going to do their best in order not to be paying for any of these. So I just want everybody to be aware of what they're going to be doing.
Hi, I'm Nicole Berry, a lifetime Lowell resident. I wanted to thank Monica from the last board meeting. You recorded everyone's comments, and I really appreciate you doing that. And my question is the same one I had in December at the information meeting. I had asked Jerry, because he was one of the only board members there, what would it take for you to just not go forward with this? And I wondered if you've had time to think about that, and if you've taken notice of how many people are against this. And yeah, that's all I had to say.
All right, I'm Sam Norman, Lowell Township resident, been here a long time. So thank you for what you do and being here and listening to us. I'm not an expert on AI. I'm not an expert on sustainability. I'm not an attorney. I'm not a community planner. But what I can speak to are two aspects, one professional and one personal. Professionally, I've been a CPA for almost 15 years. I understand the importance of ethics and transparency. My current job is to ensure that information that we put out to the public, although the investing public, is complete and accurate and not misleading. It's been extremely frustrating sitting here over the past several months and feeling like we're not getting the transparency that we as a community deserve, and having to show up in numbers just to feel heard. After thoroughly evaluating all the available information, I understand that the planning of this is still very early, but the risks of a potential data center far outweigh any benefits, even given the lack of specific details of this specific project. Now, personally, I'm concerned about the rapid growth of AI and its impact on our lives. Technology is outpacing policy unlike anything we've ever witnessed in our history. Policy is not something that can be rushed when the stakes are high and consequences are real. We've already seen harm from unregulated AI, including tragic loss among young lives who have turned to AI chatbots during times of vulnerability. I have personal experience walking these halls and know that bullying exists everywhere. We cannot outrun it, and no one has addressed the concerns of actually regulating technology and AI. The federal government is trying to stop states from having the ability to regulate AI. If no one is going to regulate it, what are we left to do? Suffer the consequences? Watch our children die? Think about that. This is not just about potential revenue. This is a humanity crisis. And I also don't like being dramatic, but the fact that we are still here having this conversation is disgusting.
Hi, I'm Michael McDonald. I'm a senior here at Lowell High School. I'm 17, and both my parents are teachers, one of which is a geometry teacher over in the A wing. In Mr. Graham's AP government class, we were assigned to propose a bill that we made. Mine was about decreasing the building of AI data centers, and I did a lot of research for it. Frankly, it seems like I've done more research than you guys have on data centers. And I understand that a lot of our anger and frustration is portrayed through insults at you guys. That's not what I want to do, but it's kind of what we felt like we had to do because we don't get responses out of you. And I just want to ask, have you done research? Even just what is a data center? Are you not allowed to respond? Because no questions have been answered tonight.
They don't have a voice.
They don't have a voice?
They have an attorney. You don't say anything about your attorney present.
No, I got you. Okay.
Attorney says, don't say anything.
I got you. Okay. I have one more question. Do you like the sound of this? I can do that for 1 minute and 40 now, but I'm not going to since I'm nice. And I don't want people to listen to humming their entire lives. That's all I have to say. Thanks for having me.
Hello, my name is Samantha Bruce. My husband and I moved here in 2020 with our son. And yes, sorry. Samantha
you going to
Bruce.
respond?
We moved in 2020. I grew up in Caledonia, so I've been in this area all my life. And I feel privileged that we get to live in Lowell now and call this our home. During COVID times, we were very impressed with how this community supported small businesses and kept them afloat during that really difficult time. Now, 5 years later, we're kind of disgusted at the fact that you don't seem to be supporting that community, this public outcry against this AI data center. The ambient hum, it'll destroy the ecosystem around the area. A lot of these points have been brought up by several people already, so I don't want to rehash them. But generative AI steals art. Generative AI contributes negatively to the mental health of several around the nation. And I know we're here specifically to talk about Lowell, but why is it that 8 other proposed data centers have been proposed for our state alone? Likely the Great Lakes, because they need a whole bunch of water to run them. I personally don't want Lowell to take part in this. I don't want Michigan as a whole to take part in this. Land back, protect the water, and it's 2026. Make these meetings ADA compliant so people don't have to request and request to just understand what is being said here. I apologize, I feel very passionately about equity and inclusion and diversity, so the fact that Ty needed to put it on the record to actually make it happen is atrocious. Thank you.
These things are awfully short. My name is Tristan Harrington. I live in the township. I moved here 5 years ago. I have lived in the desert Southwest. No water, bad water. I'm not here to repeat that. I came to Michigan for a reason. I came to Lowell for a reason. I'm here in Lowell because we planned on, this is our retirement. I've lived in Florida. I've lived in the South. I'd rather live in Michigan for retirement. I understand business. I have been a small business owner. I also work for a large corporation now. I negotiate contracts in the tens to hundreds of millions of dollars. I have been a registered lobbyist in the past. I understand what NDAs are. I know what they're built for. I know what they're designed for. I am concerned that all the available data that's been brought up by many people has not been reviewed, or if it has, was disregarded as to concerns in the livelihood of the people of this community who do most of the living, working, breathing, and dying in this area. And so this is not the community that we want, obviously, because of the number of people that are showing up and willing to come up and speak. Many people who probably have never spoken before in one of these meetings or even showed up, that they are deeply concerned. We are looking for, I'm just going to put these in just simple words, and they've been mentioned before, but transparency, clarity, accountability, reasonableness, documentation, guarantees. Where does the liability reside? The electricity that's going to be needed, and it's already been discussed nationally for AI centers, is going to significantly outstrip anything that we currently have. And the ability to produce enough new energy sources to provide the energy needed for them is in great and short supply, and will be for the next several decades. And so that just means that we're going to be pinched when it comes to that. So those things are real. The motives are suspect, obviously, because everybody feels that they've been cut out and there hasn't been clarity. And so I know that everything is done for a reason. And what we're trying to understand is, what is your reasons for continuing to support this AI center when there's so much against it? I do not want this to be a brownfield when it's done. I don't want it to be like dealing with a strip mine. So we have a lot of things that are going on. And so the benefits are obvious, the costs would be hidden, but they're not hidden. They're very prevalent to all of those here. So I hope you consider all these things and move forward with our community's best interest, long-term interests in mind.
I'm Sharon Ellison. I live in the city of Lowell. I know most of you, and you know me. We worked together. I was on city council for 8 years. And so we have worked together. I just want to say a couple things. First of all, read the room. We built that. I mean, you've got to know what's going on. City of Lowell built the biodigester because the right place decided that was a great idea, and we had our own fiasco with that. This has the potential to be the same or worse. Listen to your constituents. This community is being divided. It's us against you. It's you against us. It seems to be that way, and it shouldn't be that way. I know you think you're doing the right thing. You don't go up there trying to sneak behind making sneaky deals, although some of the things do seem sneaky to people. But I know you're not trying to do that. But that's what it seems like to people. You're setting yourself up against them. I don't think you're doing the best thing for the community. You can hear all the facts. I've read so much on the data centers too, and I don't think that needs to be rehashed. I guess my point is, as a politician, a former politician, if you don't read the room, you're going to lose the audience, you're going to lose your seat, you're going to lose this whole community. Please, listen.
My name is Dave Mortimer. I'm a Lowell resident. I've lived here since 2014. Just quick clarification, Robert's Rules of Orders does allow you to answer non-verbally questions that are asked. Like, you can raise your hand, you're just not because you're being rude. So check yourself. A lot of community members are ready to talk about really important things like raising of rates, DTE and consumers have. If you look at the Switch data center and the rates that have been publicly released, they're increasing year after year, specifically in the areas where the data center exists. We know that. There's data for that. We don't have to argue that. I was going to talk about how data centers don't bring in high-paying jobs. They don't bring in long-term jobs. They bring in a very small amount of low-paying, non-union jobs, which are not beneficial to our community. But the really important thing here is that I wanted to talk about, and another community member had brought it up. This is a moral issue. Data centers, specifically Microsoft's AI data centers, are not going to be providing long-term community support for us. Data centers and AI in general will be taking many, many jobs in the years to come. You're bringing in essentially an organization and a giant building that's just going to disrupt our community. It's going to have negative economic and negative environmental impacts in our community. And look around you. People are pissed. People don't want this. This is probably the most people you've seen at some of your city hall meetings. Like, the community is more or less pissed. And you need to listen. But the important thing here, accountability. Accountability is like the big issue and the overarching issue through this. Not just your accountability to your community or Microsoft's accountability when it comes to what they're going to pay or what they say they're going to pay to us during this process. It's a moral accountability. If you look at X and what's been happening with Grok, their AI that they have, it's been distributing CSAM across the internet. People's children, and for those who are unaware, child sexual abuse material, this is a very important thing, and it is, revenge porn is being shot across the internet by an AI. Somebody can just ask the prompt to Grok to, hey, take this picture and put it in a bikini. Oh, now get rid of the bikini. This is disgusting, and that's what you're inviting into our community when you invite AI. More child CSAM being distributed, more AI slop, more AI manipulation of our news. It's disgusting, and it needs to stop. And you have the ability to put your foot down here in our community, and you need to do that. Do you understand the harm that you're doing to the community members?
Hi, good evening. My name is Erin Brandt, and I am a resident here in the city of Lowell. My biggest concern is our earth, our natural resources. I'm a Gen Xer. I don't know if you know what that is. I was born in the late 70s. Our parents kicked us out all day during the summer, and we built forts, went fishing, we did all sorts of things outside. Our generation's trying to teach our kids to do the same thing. Get outside, get off the games, get off your phones, go play outside. How are we gonna do that if this data center comes in and starts ruining our water sources? Another point I wanted to bring up, my in-laws live on Cumberland and Bailey Drive. All those properties back there have ponds. They've lived there for 50 years, and there's hardly any water left in their ponds. Now that's strange. Where's the water going? How are we gonna provide all this water for the data center? We're not. All it's gonna do, I'm begging you, for me, my 3 girls, for my family, for our community, to not do this. You guys have the power. Don't do it. We don't need it here. Nobody wants it. We need to live on the earth and teach our kids. They don't need more devices, more AI, or like other people have said, it's dangerous. So please, I am begging you, the community is begging you, please don't go through with this. It's just gonna ruin it. It's just gonna ruin everything. And we don't need it. Thanks.
Eric Bergeron, Lowell area resident. I just want to say we need to think about the product that's going to be manufactured in today's AI data center. And that's the data that's being generated by the AI. That's the academic dishonesty that will be performed in these hallowed halls that we're standing in that's going to dumb down our future generations. We need to think about the pornography that is generated by these systems. I hope none of your children are generated by this system. We need to think about how Microsoft is exporting the use of their data to militaries around the world. Do you want that blood on your hands? Do you want the blood? I don't want that blood on my hands. No data center in Lowell. Thank you.
The last time I came before this board, I was told I had to give my name and my address. I was told after that it wasn't true. Would each of you like to give your names and addresses? I didn't think so. I would just like to say that I work in the real estate and mortgage business, and I just can see the nightmare that would happen when you turn on your faucet and just a dribble comes out. Or you go to take a shower and not enough water comes out. What do you do? I know you're not going to answer, but what would we do if we can't afford a new well and possibly hit a new vein of water and then that one runs dry? What would we do in that instance? We'd have to sell our home, right? Well, they have this thing called an inspector that goes and tests your faucets. Nobody's going to buy your home. You can't sell it. You have to go into foreclosure. So if this goes through, I'm going to leave. I'm going to sell my house, and this will be your guys' problem. It'll be really sad because I love the people of this town. I grew up here. I graduated. I was the first class to graduate from this school, this building. My family lives here. I don't want to move, so please don't let this go through. Microsoft, the people that listen to the answers on their blog, bless your heart. They're going to tell you everything you want to hear until you agree to sign the papers. Then the closed loop system that they promised, well, we're going to change our mind. It's not going to be closed loop. We're going to suck from your aquifer. We try to sue them with, what's your name, Cliff. You might be a great lawyer, but Microsoft has a room full of lawyers that are way better than you. We can't afford to sue Microsoft if they go over whatever limits you might set up, whatever fines. They have the deepest pockets. All they need is a foot in the door, which you guys are in control of right now. We would love to hear an explanation of what makes this good for this town, and please don't insult us with jobs. The 12 jobs it would bring. Please don't insult us. Put out a summary of why you're even considering this. And I apologize to Benedict and Bert. I heard you had you didn't want anything to do with the data center. You can nod if you want, if that's true. Or blink twice if they said you could nod. The first thing I'm gonna do, if you make this go through, is I'm gonna sell my house and hopefully I beat the rest of you to the realtor. Because Lowell is not gonna be the next place to be, it's gonna be the next place to flee.
Fitzpatrick. I grew up here in Lowell. I live in the city of Lowell. I graduated from Lowell High School. And I think that there's been a lot of mention of progress tonight. And everybody wants that for their hometown. But unfortunately, we've already seen the future for communities who have allowed data centers in their backyard. And I want to talk specifically about water. This is a headline from an article published November 24th, 2025 in Rolling Stone. The precedent is Flint. How Oregon's data center boom is supercharging a water crisis. Amazon has come to the state's eastern farmland, worsening a water pollution problem that has been linked to cancer and miscarriages. We know that the most precious resource on earth is water, and we especially know that as Michiganders. And I think that being Michiganders, we have a particular responsibility to protect our water in the Great Lakes. And I want to talk for a second about why the Great Lakes are so important, aside from the natural beauty. The Great Lakes supports $6 trillion in the regional economy. It contains 90% of the United States' fresh surface water supply, providing drinking water for more than 40 million people. More than 1.5 million US jobs are directly tied to the Great Lakes, generating approximately $62 billion in annual wages. I want to ask the committee members to please consider if it's worth it to leverage the safety and future of an entire community for a payday loan. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Brad. I live in the township. We've been talking to you guys for a while now, and you heard with some difficult questions. Cliff, I just want to talk to you for a second. So, was everybody advised not to answer our questions tonight? I figure you're the attorney, you're the ones that we should be talking to because you have answers. Or at least you can answer them where you're not getting them all in trouble, right?
Oh my God. Love that transparency. It's just a discussion.
So, wait.
What did have some?
Hey, hang on, are taxes paid to pay for you?
Yes, you work for us. Stop paying your taxes.
What the hell?
What the hell? Fire them all.
Wow. Woo! What if
That's a good question.
Yeah, wait in 3 minutes. Let us sit there.
No, it's just, here's the thing. Let's not talk for the rest of my time. Like, you guys aren't even writing down our questions. You didn't say when you could follow up on any of this. We care. We care. We want you to do a good job. We care about this community.
You're on their payroll.
Speak. We're your employees.
Wakey, guys. We both have a job. Start time to do it. This is not. Say something if you're not being paid. Yeah. Why are we even here? Even just say hello. Where's Microsoft? Where's Microsoft? Exactly. They maybe don't answer our questions because they're going to be running our town. You told us Microsoft was going to be here. Liar.
It's time to replace.
It's fair to be mad, but in my opinion, silence speaks way more than what they have.
Yeah, it does. You guys are done. I'm never voting for anybody sitting there, ever. Sound silence, boys. Hey, let's get the conflict.
Recall!
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 Pretty cemetery positions.
Well, that's disappointing. My name is Zach Gruters, Lowell Township. I feel like we've been duped again. This is not the first time we've had this board try and throw something together very fast and without properly informing the community. Just like the water treatment plant that this board almost passed just across from the Grand River Park on Grand River. We just want you to listen to us and not pass this data center. I do not see any benefit it will provide for our community. Most importantly, as elected officials of our township, it is imperative that you provide transparency to the community members and the proposals being made. I also would like all of you to provide accessibility to these meetings via video streaming. As a dad with young kids at home, it can be hard to attend, but that doesn't mean I don't want to be involved. Additionally, it'll provide accessibility for the individuals with disabilities in our community. Thank you.
Good evening. Joy Jessica, Lowell Township. A couple points. One, my family pursued a house near Rockford a few years ago. We did not buy it. And obviously, we all know why. PFAS, right? The importance of healthy and clean water is the reason I live in Lowell Township. Surprisingly, I was unaware until just somewhat recently, the old dump site had PFAS contamination in the groundwater. That's concerning, right? And what I have not been able to get an answer on is what happens to the water after they use it. Even in a closed loop system, it doesn't stay there forever. So where are those chemicals going to go?
That would be a lawyer answer, I think. Can't tell you.
And that leads me to my main point, which several have touched on, is this is a community changing scenario. We have an opportunity, potentially, if you choose to pursue it, to put in some controls in place. Do you know the Microsoft is the 4th richest company in the world? $3.5 trillion. Once they come in, they're going to do whatever they want. But you have an opportunity, as communities across Michigan and the nation are doing. They're putting in ordinances. They're putting a pause on these things to think about, okay, well, if a data center did come, like, how often are they allowed to run their generators? What times of the day are they allowed to run them? How many hours annually are they allowed to run those generators? Groundwater protection, checking wells, doing auditing and reports on a quarterly basis. There's ordinances that we should urgently consider right now to protect our community. I don't care if this data center doesn't come through. 5 years, another one could, right? We owe it to ourselves to protect our community, as other communities are putting in controls and safeguards. Urgently.
Good evening. My name is Nick Canfield. I grew up in this town. Grew up in Alto, which recognize a few of you from that area. And Mr. Blau, we always loved seeing the farms. We love seeing the ag fields, Mr. Vanderzeel. We appreciate the business you guys bring to the area. And that's where I'd like to pause. And what many people have stated, this kind of industry doesn't bring jobs to the area. Yes, it brings tax revenue if it's allocated and not held. And that's really cautionary considering that everybody's looking for good paying jobs. We want this town to be the place that has good paying jobs or housing. There's another thing we have to look at too. With the expansion in housing that we've already done in the area with the neighborhoods here locally, the town already has a hard time with the water issues. Lowell Light Power does a fantastic job. I'd like to give props to them with helping out the areas surrounding when it comes to infrastructure needing help. We don't want to see them get shoved out by DTE or Midby Consumers Energy in this part, even though they're two of the same. I really, really think we need to take a long pause, and I hope that that's something you guys all do with all of this community hearings, is that you do listen. Mr. Anderson, I see you were the one actually taking notes, and that's very appreciated. I'm one that I know that if I don't write it down and I don't read it, it doesn't stick in my brain. All of you sitting here listening, you're not going to remember half of the conversations that happened tonight. But I do hope that you listen, and as Ms. Allison said, that you will read the room and feel what the community feels in this area, that this isn't what we want. It's sad to see farmland get put into industrial. It being ag commercial is one thing, because more businesses, the right businesses for the area does wonders. We would love to see that. But seeing the farmland get turned into something industrial that does nothing well, doesn't do anything for the morale of the community, which has been brought up, doesn't do anything to help bring good business to the community, doesn't bring what I would call good faith money to the community. I hope you all really pay attention, listen to everything that everybody has said, do your due diligence when it comes to environmental impacts. I do hope you do pause and try to do as many studies as you can before you guys really sign away the life of the community to something that is very overwhelmingly not welcome. I please hope you guys do that. Thank you for your service, being part of this. It is very well appreciated because somebody does have to stand up for the community. That's what the township, being the most lower form of government, is supposed to do. So please do it. Thank you.
My name is Gail. I've been a Lowell Township Alto resident for most of my life. I have a well, and I try to make sure I don't use that water unnecessarily, even though I don't have to pay for it, because I like to protect my natural resources. I use, organic-based compounds in my garden to make sure I'm healthy and I don't pollute the water around me. It sounds like they're going to develop the land anyway, so we don't really have a choice. There's going to be AI data centers. I just don't want one in Alto and Lowell. I think those should be in the city. I would give alternatives, like I could use a Planet Fitness close by if you need to put something in there. Or a tech center, because AI is taking a lot of jobs. We need more tech jobs. How about a tech center there so students can go during the day, adults can go at night, or because you didn't want to buy $10,000 worth of woodworking machinery, you could, go work on projects at night over there. Just some different ideas of things to do with the property besides a data center, something that would benefit the community.
Hi, I'm Luke Marine. I'm sure you guys recognize me. I've spoke at every one of these meetings, I think, so far, because I think it's important that everybody gets heard, unlike you guys that don't speak back. I grew up in Ada. It was great, and I moved here when I was about 18. And a few years back, long after the fact, I found out that there was PFAS running through my neighborhood. And I bet most of you in here don't know anything about it because it's been pretty quiet. But like Route Lowell is right on Foreman, which is right by the school, which I'm sure when they remodeled it, they put a vapor barrier, which is the equivalent of a tarp underneath the concrete. That's supposed to protect cancers and stuff from seeping through the concrete, which could be, 5 inches thick, and still causing cancers and stuff without having that plastic there. I want to know about the schoolyard and about where the plastic is out in the whole vicinity where my kids play every day. Not to mention the creek, and this is all from Route Lowell, so the creek just divides the properties basically of the two properties of the school and the business. And they've got water cooling, small little ponds behind a 10-foot fence back there behind there, and barbed wire or a razor wire on top of it and to keep people away from it. But my kids and I played in that water in that creek so many times, and not a single person ever put a sign, never said anything about it. And I'm thinking, if you don't care about our health to post anything about that, what is this thing going to do in this drastic, massive 2.5 miles of America doing basically essentially the same thing? And it disgusts me that you guys don't speak back, not even the lawyer. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Andrea Hewitt, and this is my son, Connor. I am a third-generation Lowell resident, and my son is a fourth generation. And we do not accept this being in our town. And my son has something he would like to say.
Hi, this is my first meeting, and I got out of work early so that I could be here. My name is Michelle Rhodes, and I actually live in Boston Township on Ware Road. And while I'm not a Lowell resident or a city resident, your decisions directly impact the health and welfare of my family and the surrounding townships. I'm a firm believer that if history doesn't repeat itself, it at least rhymes. My property actually borders the south side of the Ware landfill that is now leaching PFAS into our Grand River watershed. I know this because you sent people to my home and neighborhood to sample our wells, with a few that did test positive. Fortunately for me, the watershed goes away from my house. For the people that are downstream from that in the future, they may not be so lucky. Many of my fellow community members have spoken about the strain on the aquifer and pollution. I would like to talk about the air pollution generated by the diesel generators that will be used. These generators are known pollutants, directly coming from AI's mouth. Air pollution from data centers primarily consisting of nitrogen dioxide and fine particulate matter from diesel-powered backup generators can travel hundreds of miles with the wind, while the most significant direct impacts are felt within a 1 mile radius. The emitted pollutants are dispersed over a much larger distance. My home is 5 miles away. My children's elementary school, Alto Elementary, is 3 miles away. I have been an asthmatic for over 40 years now, and I want to live in an area I can breathe. In addition, the sound and low-level hum from these data centers can impact residential areas up to 3 or more miles. Just like our most recent and prolific industry in Lowell, if you open up the door to data centers, you severely restrict your ability to stop more and bigger ones from coming. I don't think the leaders of Michigan really understand what a valuable resource we have in our natural resources, particularly when we would allow them to pollute our resources and use them up so freely. Case in point being Nestle, where they're allowed to extract over 1 million gallons of water per day from Michigan Springs for a $200 a year permit. When are we going to start treating our water like we do our precious natural resources, like precious minerals and like oil and gas? Because at the end of the day, corporations will treat them that way, and they will make us buy them back for dollars, not pennies. Thank you.
My name is Sequoia. I'm 17 years old, and my family moved here when I was 7. So I will have lived here for 10 years this summer. I just wanted to say that if you build the data center, I will not live here as an adult.
It's a lot less scary knowing that you guys can't talk back right now. My name is Allie. I'm in Lowell Township. I've come to every meeting so far since the news broke in November. You know, I'm pregnant right now, and thank you, everyone. Yes. But you know, what keeps me up at night isn't pregnancy insomnia. It's comments Jerry has made. I feel like what's brought me back to these meetings is just knowing you just find a new way to disrespect us at every meeting. And right now, with you guys not speaking, that's the latest and greatest. It started off with the NDAs, finding out those were being signed, finding out that not everyone was included in the NDAs. I want to trust you as my leader, okay? I'm bringing a child in, and I want to trust you. I've read up as much as I can about these AI data centers. I think there's a lot of miscommunication about it being a regular data center versus an AI. It is AI. It is Microsoft. Microsoft works closely with OpenAI, ChatGPT, for those who do not know. And from my understanding, what I've learned is that AI is all about scaling, and so they're constantly looking to grow. I don't think if you guys choose to slow down that this opportunity will pass us. I think they'll always be looking for more and more data centers to put in. Don't feel so rushed into this decision. I don't trust that you guys know enough. I don't trust that we know enough. Let's just see how it works for other communities. So far, it doesn't seem good, but that's what I'm trying to push today is let's just slow it down. I think they'll be okay coming in a couple of years. They seem to be growing rapidly. And also, Microsoft is a giant company. I think we can't even fathom how much money and power that they have. I think we should try and milk as much as we can get out of them if they choose to move here. Okay. And lastly, this one's for Ty. I really want you guys to start streaming this. I'm gonna pop any month soon with these delays that keep coming in. I will be in the labor room with it on Zoom if necessary. So please start streaming these meetings. I don't want to miss one, okay? Thank you for
Can you guys hear me? Okay. Mr. Peanut? I was gonna do this, but you know what? Since disrespect is tonight's tone, Jerry, I want to address you specifically. I want to say you have a Microsoft without saying you have a Microsoft.
You know when you're bested by a peanut. Yeah, it's a tough thing here because we are not getting any answers, and that's what I was thinking we were coming here for. I thought I was going to have some representation as to who Microsoft was and what they're going to do in our community here. As far as water goes, I'm amongst the worst water in West Michigan. I'm just south of town here on Pratt Lake Road. My name is Rob, by the way. I'm a neighbor here, so it is a real legitimate concern. I've had 2 water softener units put in my home, as a matter of fact. Amongst the worst water condition in West Michigan, from Culligan, and we brought Wolverine out of Lansing recently to look at our water out here. So that is a legitimate concern. Some other things we're talking about here. I just saw a proposal as far as the power that's built in here, because I realize you guys are just listening to comments, you're not answering questions, that's fine. The power south of town here looks like it's new and it's bona fide, and there's some real money put into that. I don't know. From what I understand, it was for a shopping center, a modernized, ergonomic shopping center. And when you look into something like an organized, modernized shopping center, it actually has an annual revenue it creates. It's an investment proposal. So you can actually bring back to the people here in Lowell numbers, 5 to 20% on an investment annually. So that's just money. Most of us would just like to leave it a field, but that is not in the cards. So when we look at this AI thing, all of us are skeptical. I don't want the water. I look into it and I start looking at stuff like compute as a service, infrastructure as a service, all these things that they will provide as a service. And it appears to me that I'm unaware of what any of this jargon means, and I don't know if any of you do, but that is the foundation for their revenue stream. They will be scaling up to 35 million, 40, 50 million emails a month. That saves a lot of money for Amazon and Microsoft and international corporations. It doesn't do much benefit for us. So I don't see any kind of percentage being committed to your community here. A community that I really like. I've been here for 20 years. And I do keep myself quite a bit, and I appreciate that people let me do that. And so that being said, I think we're looking at something investment-wise that would otherwise be a wise investment for the entire community and add more of a dynamic retail region to Lowell versus M21, which nobody really, comes here other than our beautiful in-town area. So we're really kind of giving up an investment opportunity with some solid numbers for a murky future with something that looks like it's going to poison our water. So it's not a good idea, and I agree with everybody in the room so far. You guys should probably reconsider.
It's a net negative for the community.
Hi, members of the board. My name is Ashton Shaw. I just wanted to, I do want to say thank you for your service and for your sacrifice. I know it is a commitment to sit up here week after week and put the time in, so thank you for doing that. Recently, I put in an application for Planning Commission, and I'd really like to urge tonight for, Jerry, for you to consider my application seriously. I think I could bring a lot of value to the community. In my professional experience, I work with regulatory compliance, project management, work a lot with complex data sets. I've really studied the master plan. I've really studied the zoning ordinances. I've been looking at benchmarking across different regions in Michigan, and I think I could share good perspective. So Jerry, I know it's up to you to nominate who you want to reappoint, which is coming up here on the agenda, and I just urge you to consider, and the other board members to consider my application seriously. I'm really invested in this, really passionate about this, and would love to contribute now and into the future. I also wanted to, just address the fact how this is, such a regional thing that's going on with artificial intelligence expanding, and it's really happening at an alarming rate. There's in the next 10 years, 160 gigawatts of power are going to be coming online, and that's kind of a hard number to fathom. But it's going to require a lot of coal, a lot of natural gas, which are very expensive energy sources, and they also use a lot of water. So, Microsoft is talking a lot about, this closed loop system, but we also need to remember that, to run a power plant, to generate 1 megawatt hour of electricity from a coal plant requires 19,000 gallons of water withdrawals. And Cliff, you're a water rights attorney, right? Riparian law, so you know all about this. So water withdrawals are different than consumption, but there are withdrawals. Natural gas power plants, 2,000 gallons per megawatt hour. If you extrapolate that across the country, it's over 6 trillion gallons by 2037 of water withdrawals, not direct consumption, but it's significant. It's significant at a time when things are rapidly changing. Right now, we're going through the coldest period in Michigan. On the other side of, in Australia, they're going through a rapid heat wave. There's a lot of things that are changing, and it's not a good time to put our natural resources, our water. Michigan, actually, the United States has 80 years of natural gas reserves. 80 years, that's not a lot. And that was before we started cranking up these AI data centers. We're gonna take 20 years off our natural gas supply as a country. Think about the futures ahead. It's not just about us sitting here. it's about our children, our grandchildren, and what future we want to provide for them. But I thank you. Thanks for considering my application. Thanks for the time.
Apparently I'm shorter than most people on this mic. Greg Kiffmiller, down the road, Lowell Township. I moved here 2 summers ago. I was living in Austin, Texas, lived there for 20 years, grew up in Michigan. And awkwardly, I work in software and tech, right? I still do. So, a lot of fears about change and stuff. I understand what software as a service and IFC and everything else is too. But I had opportunity to pick where I wanted to live. I had an opportunity to work remote, and I chose this community. You guys have an amazing thing here, right? That I think everybody here is talking very passionately about, right? And I guess with my perspective and just the joy I've had here since moving here, my perspective on software and technology, I felt compelled to speak, caught an emotion here. But 2 points I guess I wanted to make is I've suffered through a lot of tech quarterly business reviews, meetings, planning sessions, strategic movements, and things like that. Microsoft is looking at resources because they're under demand to rapidly expand because everybody's chasing this AI behemoth that we're not sure is going to pan out exactly like the investments are currently being made into it, right? I don't know the history of this town as much as most people in this room here, but I'm going to guess that Microsoft has not had a presence in the community. And so this is opportunity on resources in a spreadsheet of development opportunities for them, right? They don't necessarily care about long-term things, everything that people have been saying here. The second thing I want to make too is that this is a one-way door, right? I think we had a gentleman talk about lack of preparedness around ordinances and managing risk and growth. And you're right, like the second this goes out, those decisions about what happens here happens in Microsoft's boardrooms thousands of miles away, and our ability to influence and control that is severely limited, right? This is a one-way door opportunity. So at the very least, we need to seek a moratorium at best for the community and the actions and the voices you heard here. We should rescind the NDA.
Can anybody yield me some time?
Okay,
thank you. I just want to make 2 more points. One was, it was very ironic that I used AI to determine if this was a good idea or not. It said it was a very bad idea. It gave me a lot of horror stories. So one of 2 things is true. Either they're right, and this is a bad idea, and you should flee from it, or they're wrong, and you're supporting an industry that spreads lies. And then the other thing is, there's a lot of people's time that you're taking. A lot of people don't have time to come to these meetings every time and to learn about all the regulations and rules and the way a board works. And I never had any of that time or any of that will to be here at any of these meetings because I always trusted our board that they would do what's right for the community. Could you please put a moratorium on this and stop this nonsense? Microsoft is hunting for the most gullible boards across this state. Don't be that board.
I was up earlier. I know I didn't use my 3 minutes, so I'm going to take a little bit of time right now. I did not introduce myself last time. My name is Gina. I did mention that I'm a resident of the city of Lowell. I am going to go out on a limb here. I don't know if it's kosher or not, but I would like to nominate Ashton for a place on the board. Anybody second that nomination? Thank you, that's it.
You have a lot of mad people here. hope you get that. I give my name, but I have no respect for you guys right now. Your job is to listen to us, and we are telling you not to go through with this. Overwhelmingly, the turnout here is incredible to me. This is my first time coming to one of these. I don't like to talk in front of people. This is a load of crap. You represent us, and you can't even talk to us about the issue we have. There's a problem there, a big problem. I chose to live here with my children and my wife. I could have lived anywhere else. I love the beauty we have here in Lowell. Our community, our small town feel. I think that's why we all moved here. We don't need industry in here. We don't. I like to go fishing. I like hunting. I like taking my dog for a walk. You're taking the beauty away from this beautiful place. Thank you.
Okay. Well, as I mentioned, my name is Tyler. I speak earlier. I also want to ask you guys, you guys on the website have email alert and subscriber. You've been posting notice on the paper, on the door or bulletin board, which is not ADA accessible, you know? And also you post it on the website. You can't expect residents to look at the website once every hour of the day. But you have the email, right? Subscribe alert. It takes 30 seconds to make an email, send out the notice to the email, because I'm pretty sure a lot of us in this room are signed up for the email alert to the website, right?
Yes.
And you have not gotten what? Nothing?
Nothing.
Not once?
No.
So that's something you should look into and start rolling with that. Just a suggestion. That's all. Thank you.
Hi, I spoke earlier. I trust no one has an issue with me continuing to, wait, okay, fantastic. So, again,
Just keep talking.
Okay.
Keep talking.
I am up here to appeal to you as human beings, as fellow human beings, and the fact that you cannot even talk to us. Was this some decision? What's the reason? Is it legal? I mean, we're neighbors. I don't want to sound, but I know where Jerry Hale lives. I know where you live. I've seen you because I drive down this road all the time. I've seen you in your car. I know where you live. We're neighbors. Like, if you have been here for as long as I think that you all have lived here for most of your life. I have only lived here for 3.5 years. I used to live in the city. Lowell, I don't know if you guys really understand what this town is, what it represents. I fled this city and I found a refuge here, a community that took me and my family in. It is beautiful. I remember walking down the street with my husband, with my baby in my arms, seeing like high school boys after school with their fishing rods, like fishing at the dam. This is a town of a storybook. And I don't know if you know that because you've lived here for so long, but there are very few places left like this in the world. Very few. I want to protect it. I've only been here for 3 years, but I am so invested in this community. Please, please don't let the years, the fact that you drive down the same roads every single day, that you shop at the same places, that you see the same people, please don't let that cloud your vision to distract you from what we have, because it's rare. It is so rare. So please, I know that you cannot speak back to me, but please, if you have any neighborly love for the people here present,
please listen to us. You are our only hope against a $1 trillion giant. Please, listen.
If you spoke once before, it's okay if you haven't spoken before, but if you have, please, don't do it.
Answer some of the questions they were doing.
Can you hear me? Greta Garbo speaks. I'm Cliff Bloom, the Township Attorney, and I know obviously there's been a lot of frustration tonight with the board not speaking, but this is public comment section. Virtually no local government in the state during the public comment section speaks back. The board normally, when it makes decisions, has to speak as a board. So having individuals comment back and so on really is not helpful, and we want to allow you maximum public comment. Just a couple things to keep in mind. This is early in the process. This board has made no decisions yet. The Planning Commission's made no decisions. So that folks know, originally it's got to go through the Planning Commission first, and they have to have a public hearing, and they'll make a recommendation of the Township Board, and it'll go to the Township Board. I think, as a lot of you know, the original public hearing was in December. I've kind of lost track of all the meetings. And because of the capacity, they couldn't hold the meeting. So that's been adjourned. Before the Planning Commission can start again, there'll have to be a new public hearing notice and a new public hearing. So that will be done. A lot of the questions that you asked, this body doesn't have answers yet because it's still early on in the process. The township has asked the applicant, Microsoft, repeatedly for more information. They provided some, but I think both this body and the Planning Commission expect a lot more information before they'll make a final decision. So no final decisions have been made. It'll have to go through the process. You've asked a couple times for the Township Board to consider a moratorium. That is something, if the Township Board decides to do, they can do, and so on. So again, this isn't a lack of respect, not responding to you, but we would get into a dialogue that would just never end. So there are going to be many more meetings other than tonight. So we're hearing you. There's other matters on the agenda that have to be addressed, including a very important park study that the Township Board needs to finalize to get grants. So that's why we're not responding, not due to a lack of respect, I assure you.
So Cliff, we actually have precedent December 15th. It was ping pong. We were up here, except at the township. Folks were asking questions. We had a very active board. I think your presence there obviously was not. However, when you have something like that and you have that kind of dialogue, you've now created an expectation. So if you want trust,
that's
we're
not the
reminding
process.
you.
There's a zoning process.
Right, but I'm saying during public comments, we were able to get answers from this board. We also had Jerry, we asked Jerry a question about whether or not this township would stand in the way of a referendum.
This is so early in the process.
It's early in the process. However,
You've already spoken. Are you going to respect me and allow me to finish or not?
I respect you and allow you to finish. I'm going to be very clear on one thing. Early in the process, 18 months, do you know how many children could have been born in this community? 18 months is how long y'all have been at this. So if we're feeling some frustrations, it's because of a lack of transparency. 18 months ago, had you all said you were starting to entertain these ideas, had it been opened up that there was going to be this type of conversation, you would have a lot more folks in here who were going to give you the respect. So I'm going to tell you something really important. It's that respect is often earned, right? There are people on this board who we absolutely do respect, and there's others who we don't. And unfortunately, Cliff, I think right now you have people who want some answers. So instead of giving us the PR approach, you can let us know straightforward why we're not getting those answers. Also, you could start taking notes. We could actually see active notes of the questions that have been asked, as well as active meeting minutes of public comment. That is something that is not yet available.
So those are pieces that are really important for you all to recognize. And so I'm grateful that this community continues to hold you all to account, because that is the role of an active community, an active citizenry.
18 months isn't early in the process.
Am I going to talk? No. Yes. No, I have not. Okay, I am Rachel, and I am one of the owners of Fish and Fin Outfitters, the fishing store downtown. So I kind of want to follow up on the last gal that had spoken. We moved here from Ada. I've been here 17 years now, and we chose to have our children here, and we were like, we would never ever move back to Ada because of what we have here. It is so special. And then we, you know, put our life savings into a business, and we're right on the river. We're out on the river daily. Our rivers have been so low. It is devastating to see. Like last summer, I walked all the way from the back of our store to the trestles, and it was ankle deep. There was mussels. There was endangered mussels. They were dying, and right here in the Flat River, in the little nook of our part of the Flat River, we are one of the only locations that have like very specific suckers. So we have a lot of special and endangered species that we need to consider, but most importantly, I cannot tell you the amount of like older generation men and some women that I get coming into my business with their 10-year-olds or grandsons, 13-year-olds, and they're taking their grandkids fishing where they have fished in the past. And my kids go swimming in there in the river. They bring all of their friends. I love their friends. Like it's a whole crew down there during the summer. It is so wonderful. And to think that these people could all be poisoned or that our river could dry up. Like what is Lowell without our rivers? We're just another shitty town on a map. Like our boat is gonna be in a dried up river. You know, I mean, our river walk, it's just so silly. Like this is not us. How does this seem like this fits Lowell at all? I don't know if you guys spend very much time downtown Lowell, but in the summers, Thursday night concerts, a huge chunk of the community, we go down there, we hang out with one another, our children all run around, they're safe, we all watch them, and we enjoy the river and the beauty of this community. And if you take that from us, what is Lowell? It's ridiculous.
My comment is on referred a closed loop system. For people that don't know what a closed loop system, it has nothing to do with water. It has to do with cooling of the equipment. It just circulates through the equipment, and that's all it does. Your water is used on a tower, spraying over coils that this stuff runs through. And the chemicals are used to keep those coils clean. Just so everybody knows, but using 1 million gallons of water is a lot. But how many people know how much water it takes to grow 1 stalk of corn? 55 gallons a day. 55 gallons a day for 1 stalk of corn in Iowa. That's how we get our storms, is from it emitting it into the air. So I just like to put that in perspective.
I just want to say I have professional expertise, and I just want to say that has a lot of credibility. He's correct about that closed loop system.
My name's Trevor, and I live about 3 miles from where you guys want this data center. A lot of people here have talked about the water usage and how it's draining a lot of people's wells. I don't want that issue. I've been in places in the world that don't have water, that I've had to fight for water. Have any of you guys been there? Yep. People, have you had? Military people? Exactly. I don't want to have to fight for water in a country that I was born in. That's a third world country. If you've never been there, I really recommend you go there and look at what it's like, because that's what doing this and bringing this data center in our community is going to do. I don't want that.
My name is Rob Schroeder. I live in the area for the last 20 years. Board, Mr. Simmons, thank you for being here tonight. Thank you. Is that better? Yeah, I'm horrible at public speaking, so please forgive me. Mr. Bloom, you made statements a minute ago saying that no one on the planning commission or board has made decisions. In the November planning commission meeting, when this was first discussed, 2 planning commission members said they were in favor for this project. In December, Mr. Hale, also in front of this crowd, said he was in favor of this project. You may have been there and been aware of that, but decisions have been made before a board meeting was made. My other statement, water usage. All I hear about water usage, closed loop, open loop, millions of gallons a day. I am certain that this board and the planning commission are unaware that Microsoft has 0 closed loop systems in place. Not a one. The first one will be developed and in place in 2027. Why this crowd and your constituents are telling you this when you're here to do our due diligence for us is irresponsible. Jerry, we met this morning. You had no idea about the lawsuit between Switch, Kent ISD, and Colorado Schools. In the December open house, the University of Michigan report of when data centers come to town was quoted several times. That panel that was present, one person read that report. One. In that report, quoted the lawsuit, the diminished property value of the pyramid from when Steelcase owned it to when Switch owned it, cut the revenues for the school districts. You should know this, but you don't. Please stop, take some time, do some research, look around, ask the questions, go to New Colony, Indiana, see Amazon, go to Columbus, Ohio, see Thor, and get the information for us. You asked today how long these meetings are going to continue? It's until trust comes back. Unfortunately, there are members on the board that we don't trust. Not everybody. We need you to represent us. We elect you for a reason. Do your jobs for us. Thank you.
I could stand up here and say all the things that everyone's already said because it's all true. But what I wanted to bring to everyone's attention in this room is, and I think we started off on this note, is that you all were elected by the residents of Lowell and Lowell Township and the city of Lowell, or for Jen's Township, you in particular, obviously, Lowell Township. But you're elected officials and you took an oath to serve the citizens that you represent, who elected you, and to follow the master plan of Lowell Township. And if anyone in this room hasn't yet read the master plan, you might want to, because it goes to speak to the character of what people have said here about it being a small town feel, about the beauty of the land. And just based on that alone, all other facts aside about the data center, it doesn't fit with the master plan. Yes, I understand that the Covenant Business Park is zoned and addressed in the master plan, but it's mentioned in a way that's supposed to fit within the master plan to keep the character of the community, and so for you all to say that this is early on in discussion, why are we even having the discussion with Microsoft? Why are we even considering that? Because it doesn't fit with the master plan, and that's supposed to be one of our guiding documents on making decisions for this community that elected you. Thank you.
Hi, I'm thinking I'm going to be the last one to speak because I just want to give you some food for thought. I know a lot of you up there. I've spoken with a few of you. I've even had Jerry Hale into my home.
And I like you and I don't want to not like you. So here is one piece of advice that I want to offer. Go home or go to the store and find the movie The Lorax and see if Dr. Seuss didn't write about the very thing we are fearing now in this room.
Hello, my name's Danny. My family has been residents of Lowell for over 10 years. I've gotten the chance to live a couple different places before I realized that none of them quite were just right like Lowell. And there's so many things that disturb me about this project, which I'll probably just be echoing a lot of the concerns brought tonight, but a couple of things that thankfully some people did get to touch on is the closed loop system. It's very concerning, very misleading, does not at all do justice to the true resource requirements the data centers will take up. And secondly, something I really wanted to touch on is the fact of AI-generated pornography and the fact that it does not generate any new faces. So any child material being put out, any adult material being put out against people's consent is real faces in your community, our community, everywhere. And I just don't understand how we're gonna sit by and let this happen to our community and take part in it. And I don't even understand why there's gonna be further meetings when there's so many of us sitting here telling you that we do not support this.
Okay, we thank you all for coming out tonight, and with that, we'll close public comment. Next on our agenda is our 5-year park and rec plan, and Tiffany Smith is here tonight from the firm that helped us write this plan. She's got a few comments.
This is the most people I've ever had for a public hearing for a 5-year rec plan. So how many of you have actually read the rec plan? Good. What rec? Good. We had 0 people at our public meeting, which was well publicized. And,
Tiffany, can you speak into the microphone a little more? Thank you.
Our public meeting was well publicized. We didn't have any people from the public that showed up. And the public survey had 6 responses. The public survey had 6 responses. So what a 5-year rec plan is a document that you put on file with the state of Michigan so you can apply for grants. Lowell Township is very good at keeping their rec plan up to date. And the splash pad, which is shown right here, was paid for by the state of Michigan public funding. So the 5-year rec plan, again, just talks about the population, and you all know that you have one park at the township, right? Grand River Park. Yes. And it has the river that runs through the middle of it, which we've all been talking about. The other thing is there are 600, I'm just telling you some facts and stuff, 6,300 residents in Lowell Township. And there was a high satisfaction rate of the township based on the surveys that we received. And I guess the following thing is for the next 5 years, the public funds are going to be based on the comments in this plan. So it behooves you to look at it next year. And the public hearing is to get it approved so that we have to have it in by February 1st, which is the reason this meeting is being held today. So, there you go. For the resolution. That's what we have to do next.
At this time, we have to open the public hearing.
Oh.
And is the board got any questions?
Oh, yeah. Did you find any comments in there? Because sometimes they make typos.
I was disappointed that only 6 people and 3 of them were on the board here that answered that survey.
It was available for
4 weeks actually, and publicized on the website.
The public survey was available for 4 weeks. It was publicized on the website, as was the public meeting. So the fact that people didn't respond to it is not a lack of trying on the township's behalf.
Which website?
The township website. And I believe it. You don't have a Facebook page, so that's a pretty good place to publish it. Also, we had hard copies at our public meeting in October as well. So if you can,
And all of these items that you're discussing should have been sent out in an email alert for those that subscribe to those on the website. However, none of that information was passed on to the public in that form.
it's
That would have
it's not required by the state of Michigan to do that.
That may not be, but our board is not.
Ma'am, your comments should be directed to the board.
I'm asking the board why items like this that we have board members commenting as this is a sad fact that we received so few responses. How would that response rate be different if the public was actually receiving emails that they have asked for by subscribing for these alerts? What would the difference in that quantity of responses be if our township was actually utilizing things that are already in place to make us aware?
Do you have any comments on the,
Yeah,
on
I
the
got it.
plan? Yeah, because usually you find some.
Can you hear me? Okay.
I can hear you.
I got some.
It's 125 pages, or no, 159 pages, so I
Yeah.
do make clerical errors.
I got some, well, there are inaccuracies and I guess some of the things that I'd like to see added. Like here in the recreation program, it says, the cleanup is in the, on the fairgrounds. The fairgrounds does not exist in Lowell anymore. It's a former fairgrounds, otherwise it should be a recreational park. And
Is it owned by the township?
Pardon?
The fairgrounds is owned by it's owned by the township, correct?
The fairgrounds moved to Lowell Township now. The old fairgrounds is where the annual cleanup is.
But that's in
And
the
also it
city of
has
Lowell.
Deer Run Golf Course in here in one chart yet, and that is no longer exists.
That is something I'll check. This
And-
is specifically about the township though, like things happening in the township, not owned by the city or anything else. Does that make sense?
Yeah, well, but it's in here. I mean, whatever. And the other question I had, it's got all the schools that are listed except the high school. And I wondered why the high school is not, all the list of the whole public schools is there, but not the high school.
Does the high school have sporting facilities that are available to the public to use? Does the high school have sporting facilities that are available to the public to use?
I would assume so.
Oh, I mean, do you have a relationship with the?
Because it's got the middle school and it got the other schools, so I would say all the schools are the same.
Yeah, I think they have playgrounds, Carlton.
And that'll bring me to the point of,
Because the plan is for township.
the Alto Park over there, it's just off a little township, but, is a miniature park that Lowell Township residents use because it's right across the street from the Lowell Township.
But it's not owned by the township.
It's not in Lowell Township.
The reason that we kind of separate it out is so that you have an accurate portrayal of what is available through the township to the community. The outside facilities that you're talking about add to it, and that's the reason that because of your one park, you provide a lot of other opportunities for schools, et cetera, and other private parks. But really, this plan looks for the township-only facilities. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Because it skews the numbers if you're trying to do private parks and city parks and state parks.
Okay, I've just had that question.
Absolutely.
But the other part here, they keep talking about Blanchard. That's not the way our preserve that we got out here. We also now have the whole regional green space that the county owns, which is almost identical to that.
We need to add that in there because we do have regional facilities. So that's in the back. Absolutely. And these things can be added because I have to submit it to the state of Michigan by February 1st, which is why the meeting was supposed to be last week. So you need to get them to me soon so I can submit it to the state tomorrow.
And the other thing I would like to see somewhere said at the Deer Run Golf Course, I think that the Grand Agricultural Center should be in there. Yes, it is not quite recreational or it's more exhibits, but
you have to pay to get in, correct?
But it has the fairgrounds there and stuff too. But it should, I think that in the future they want the campground there, and that will be recreational there.
It will. Okay.
So it needs to get in there. If not this time, very soon.
We'll get it in there.
So that's the part that I see.
Jerry, Carlton, can you send something? You can even just write it down on a piece of paper and send it to Jerry, like something real basic, so that I can make sure I get this in the plan tomorrow.
Okay, we can do that.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Wait, are there any other public comments?
I had the same question about the neighborhood or mini parks.
You have a ton of them too.
We have a lot.
Because when I drove in on the side road, and I the first time I did the plan too. But the problem is we're really trying to take a look at your township facilities, because when you go for the grants, you don't go for those facilities. You go for township facilities. Does that it's just we can put it in the plan, but they change.
I think it needs to be mentioned because we push through our township and our trails and our park committees on connection.
Oh, yeah,
Whether
absolutely.
it's in the city of Lowell or Virgins or in Lowell Township, we pushed for connection. So actually, we have 5 parks that touch and connect, and most of them are by paved trails.
Yeah, your non-motorized trails are wonderful.
So I had the same comment as Carlton.
So we can call them trailheads too. I mean, technically that's what they are. They're your Lowell Township trailheads, but they're not parks that are maintained or owned by the township, correct?
Well, they are huge in our community. I mean.
Oh, no, I'm just trying to
it's
figure out
right.
your money, how you're, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay, absolutely.
Thank you.
Do you have anything else?
I have a comment.
Yeah.
In regards to that kind of reciprocity between the different areas and how we all share that responsibility and those utilization of those resources in our parks and other recreational areas, was the intention for the survey to only be for Lowell Township residents, or is it supposed to be for the entire community that interacts with those places?
The first question is, are you a Lowell Township resident? If not, where are you a resident for?
City of Lowell.
No, I'm just saying, that's the first question.
Oh,
And
okay.
Just so you guys know, I do 5 rec plans a year, like Detroit, Mackinac Island, rec plans all over the place. So the questions are, and a lot of them on the east or the west side of the state, Ottawa County. Like I'll do the Ottawa County one and then there'll be individual ones. That's just how it works. But usually I get a little bit more input.
That's all I wanted.
I would just like to notice that someone from the state has done a lot of work to help our community here and put together this long plan, and she had the intention of sharing it with the community, having more comments. It's due tomorrow, and there's no comments. They're sitting up here telling her what to add ad hoc verbally. If I treated my job like this, I would be fired, and I'm just flabbergasted that this is the standard for something that could improve our community. And if that's the standard of work that you are comfortable committing to this town, how can you make such a large decision about something like a data center? It's extremely frustrating. I mean, it truly is flabbergasting. This poor woman, she's probably exhausted listening to all of us talk to you. Why couldn't you have her go first? That's outrageous. Secondly, she has sat through all of this, and she's like begging you to participate. Are you serious?
They're following the rules. Public hearings are first. And my item was on the agenda exactly where it was supposed to be. And they couldn't put me any farther to the beginning. So they did exactly what they were supposed to do.
It still sucks.
I agree. But it's not their fault. So.
Okay, at this time, we will close the public hearing.
I just want to say, if you guys haven't read through it, it is actually very well written, and I appreciate the detail and depth that she has gone into to acknowledge a lot of the nuances in our parks areas.
I also just
Okay,
real quickly,
now we will,
Jerry, if I could real quick, sorry, back here, over here, straight back. Okay. Sorry, it's a new mic, my apologies, right here. Let me bring it up here, my apologies. I just wanted to just call out the concern, like with the survey thing. I think it just highlights, a missed opportunity, and I think it's kind of a shared missed opportunity that we're experiencing, in different fronts. Like looking through the red plan, I see there's an image on, on page, somewhere where it was posted in the public newspaper. That's great, it was posted on the website. I understand there's like certain laws and you only have to meet the minimum. But if we want, community input and we want engagement, like we gotta think a little differently. Like looking at the like how it was planned out, it talks about using social media as well as email, as well as a survey to distribute the Survey Monkey. It doesn't sound like that was really the case, but these are missed opportunities, and I think it's just something that we could grow from as a community. Because if we can get more voices and more input and more creativity, like our parks are beautiful. The riverfront, the Brit, like you guys have done such amazing stuff. Just think what we could do, like if we really harness like a lot of the creativity, and it's not hard. We don't have to be scared of engaging the public. Like we could really take advantage of it. Like just through we have these email newsletters. Like there's ways that we can get information. It's 2026, right? Like there's ways we can get information out that that don't overburden the board. Like I understand you guys have other things to do as well, but could also harness some of the community involvement that it seems like you would like to see more of. I think we would all like to see more of. So I would just encourage more consideration of that. Thank you.
okay, now I'll close them. Any more comments from the board?
I make a motion to adopt resolution 2026-1 for the 2026 Community Parks and Recreation Plan as prepared by MCSA
With the needed corrections.
with the needed corrections.
I'll support.
It's been moved and supported that we adopt resolution 2026-01 for Parks and Recreation Plan. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Oh, Cliff says we need a roll call for this, Monica.
Blau? Anderson? Benedict? Thompson?
Yeah.
Bill?
Yes.
Hale?
Yes.
Bert? Yes.
Vanderzeel.
Vanderzeel.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yes. Okay, resolution is passed. Okay, next on our agenda. Microphone. Next on our agenda is appointments to the Planning Commission. And I gotta get to first. the board, we had 4 applications for people that would like to serve on our planning commission. Was Ashton Shaw, Jeanette Stevenson, Nicole Rhonda, and Tyler Shepard for your consideration. You've all got their resumes in your packet and have seen those, so just wanted to make you aware of that.
Before I make a motion on Dave Simmons, I want to thank you. It's intimidating that you've served for 37 years. I mean, Bill's probably the only one close to you, so I want to thank you personally and for the board. I make the motion to reappoint Dave Simmons as our planning commission chairman.
I'll support.
It's moved and supported that we reappoint Dave Simmons to the planning commission. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay.
Disappointing.
Second one I want to talk about is Bill Genovich. He's not only on our planning commission, but he's on our parks board. He has done a wonderful job organizing not only our parks and kind of taking the stress off of Jerry and myself on the parks board. He's also done a wonderful job with our Bridge Fest. So I would make the motion that we reappoint Bill Genovich on the planning commission.
I support.
It's been moved and supported that we appoint Bill Genovich to the planning commission. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Okay.
Boo. Disappointing.
Next, we have a planning commission memo update that Hannah, the deputy clerk, prepared for us. You've all read that. Just want to make you aware of it. Next, our assessor has, in your board packet, is resigning. She's given her 90-day notice. I think you all have a copy of that in your board packet.
Does anybody have any questions about that?
I just want to say that she put in a yeoman service for us and done a great job. We're going to miss her.
Yeah, we're gonna miss her too.
Yeah, I agree with that. I had a lot of the people that I talked to always liked could go into her office and she'd give them good answers. Answers to the questions, and people come out knowledgeable, not always agreeing with the answer that she got, but at least they knew what reason that answer was there then.
Yep. So I would make a motion to accept the termination of the township assessor contract in accordance with the terms of the agreement effective March 31st, 2026.
Support.
It's been moved and supported that we accept the resignation of the assessor effective March 31st. All those in favor of that signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. You also have a operational memo update from Hannah, that Hannah prepared. You all got a copy of that. Any comments on that?
Yeah, we've been doing a lot of work to get the boardroom up to the ADA accommodations. We are trying to provide reasonable accommodations. We also have been in contact with Tyler Shepard. Hannah's been emailing him on a constant basis, informing him of what we were doing. We were unable to get an interpreter. We did put an application in for tonight, but they could not find an interpreter. And so we did our due diligence to make that a possibility, but it was out of our control. So I just want you guys to know that we are working on that and being very diligent for that. And so if you want to read that memo, you will see what we've done in the past 3 weeks to accommodate that.
Next on our agenda is
Can I just ask it? This isn't on anymore? Oh, there it is. Is there any way to, how far out can we put in applications to get an interpreter here? Can we send out applications for the next, 12 months and have people sign up? Or is it 2 or 3 week leeway is all we can do? Like if they have more notice that they're needed instead of just 1 week's notice. Maybe we could go on their agenda versus somebody else.
Yeah, we are, when we get in a request, that is the time that we contact them for that. You can't do a blanket request for a
Okay, the
interpreter.
request is for every time though. So can we put out,
No, you can't do a blanket one.
well, we know the dates of the meetings.
So I think the public is trying to ask, do we have to put in an individual request to you for that service for each and every, do we have to write you a letter? Can I write you a letter now for the next 12 meetings so that you already have that on record? What is the policy and how far in advance can someone request that accessibility accommodation?
The township is required to make reasonable accommodations and certainly is more than happy to do that. Part of the problem is not only notice but cost too. I mean, if we know you're going to be at every meeting, it obviously would be worth the money, but if we pay the money and so on and it's not needed, then the township has to eat that cost. Maybe that's something the township board will just have to decide.
So are you stating as the township's legal representative that you are more concerned about cost at this point than public accessibility? Because that's what it sounds like.
No, don't put words in my mouth, but the township also has to not only reasonably accommodate, but be accountable to its taxpayers. So again, if you have ideas, we certainly want to hear them. I mean, if there are interpreters out there that perhaps might be more available on shorter notice and so on, we certainly would welcome that input.
I believe that the ideas have already been stated multiple times of providing direct streaming of every single meeting because that would cover accessibility. Direct streaming of every meeting would be a cost-effective solution that can allow closed captioning and be available more than just in person. If you're concerned about the cost of hiring interpreters per meeting, maybe we should just actually get up and get the equipment through instead of the long legwork that we've been told about providing accessible communication not only to our disabled community, but also others, like those that winter out of town and have no idea what's going on.
The township is still reviewing that, and certainly the township will make reasonable accommodations as required by the law.
You asked for public input.
Yeah, no,
Give it-
absolutely, and again, I raise it again, if, with regards to the signers and interpreters, if there are names or organizations that you can provide the township with, particularly the clerk, that would be helpful.
I volunteered and I sent my information to the township, so somebody's got my email. What did you say? I said, hey, I volunteered and at the last meeting where this came up, I volunteered to help the township, manage the AV system or whatever was needed to stream the meetings, and I sent my information and I sent my email address along with that information. So I didn't hear anything back. I don't know. I didn't check my spam filter. I'm sure it's still there.
Yeah, if you want to just read the memo that we put in the board packet, that explains what we're doing. So we are looking in all that. It's just going to take some time, so. Yeah. Yeah.
It was just an honest from the heart.
Yes, we appreciate that.
Okay, next on our agenda is review the draft proposed budget for fiscal year 2026-27.
Can you move that up on your thing a little bit so we can see the rest of it?
You couldn't hear me?
No, not 3 pages up. It's 4 pages.
Oh.
Right out loud. 5 pages. 6 pages. You can't read that fast.
It's all right.
So we're just reviewing the budget. If anybody has any changes, you can contact me or you can let me know tonight, but that's just a review. All we need to do is set the public hearing for next month.
Is this information available on your
Have the
website?
public hearing for the budgets on February 17, 2026.
I'll support.
It's been moved and supported that we set the public hearing for our next month's meeting. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Under board communications, we have a report from the King County Sheriff's Department on all the activity in Lowell Township for 2025. Are there any comments on that? Okay, hearing none, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Support.
It's been moved and supported that we adjourn this meeting. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. We're adjourned.